Let's take a look at Arsenal's season in numbers so far. Last night's 3-0 defeat was their joint heaviest at home in the Premier League. They've lost 7 in 13 games in all competitions in 2018. They're 10 points off the top 4, and there's a 30-point gulf between them and league leaders Manchester City. The Daily Mirror's John Cross told Keys and Gray that time's up for Wenger.
2 3-0 defeats this week. I know it's not great, but as chairman of the Arsene Wenger Appreciation Society, I'm not having this. I think it's outrageous.
Ridiculous.
The amount of criticism he's getting. You think he was a serial murderer, John? Why? I mean, he referenced it going into the City match, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He said he was amazed by the reaction. Look, I disagree on this a little bit. In that I thought last night was different in that basically I thought City were fantastic, absolutely incredible. But I do think in the final, I've rarely seen Arsenal so completely and comprehensively outplayed. They were outfought, they were outworked, and I think that is unforgivable. And
John, can I just stop you right there? Just right there. It's a one-off. You're playing a team that has spent more in 21 months than Arsene Wenger has in 21 years.
Arguably the best team in Europe.
Arguably the best team in Europe. You're goalless at half. Well, you should be goalless at half-time, because if VAR was ever to be of any use, they should have disallowed Aguero's opening goal. So, is it all that bad?
Well, should it have been disallowed?
Of course it should. It was a foul, John.
Was a foul, John.
No.
In the box, John, it's disallowed. A push in the back, it's a foul. It was a clear push in the back.
Oh,
anyway, regardless,
not even Arsene Wenger, not even Arsene Wenger thought that one. But look, I do feel last night that frankly Arsenal, I thought in the first half didn't compete. I thought as good as City were, Arsenal were bad, and Arsene Wenger was saying after the game he thought it was Arsenal's best physical performance of the season. I don't quite know what that means, but I do think he was trying to sort of say, look, we were beaten by much the better team, and absolutely that's right. But the walls are closing in on Wenger at the moment. He knows it, and he can feel it. The negativity is spiralling out of control, and I just think it leads to one conclusion, that he will go in the summer. I really do think that this time, I know we talk about it many times.
Many times.
I think this time will be the time.
So, John, do you think these 5 or 6 days really have been pivotal then? That they are the straw that breaks the camel's back as far as the owners of Arsenal are concerned?
In a way, Andy, but what I think is that I think that a piece of silverware would have been another chance of salvation for him. I know it's that people will say, oh, it's only the Carabao Cup, and that's fine, but I do feel that with that, his record at Wembley recently has been remarkable. I mean, prior to that game, he'd been there 9 times for a final, semi-final Community Shield, and basically won them all. 7 in sort of normal time, and the other 2 on penalties. I mean, it was a remarkable hold, and what some clubs wouldn't give for the amount of silverware that he's produced. I think also the Champions League place, whether that comes through the top 4, the Europa League, is pivotal. But the fallout that I felt this week from it is much more than that. It's not just about the winning the Carabao Cup, another piece of silverware. It's being able to compete at the top end of the Premier League. That's the ambition of the club. They're now 30 points behind Man City. And I feel that it's much more about being able to compete at the top end rather than actually winning trophies, if you like. And people might not like that. I know other clubs won't be jealous of that. But I think that's the vibe that I get from the football club as when it comes to make the decision at the end of the season. And I do think there will be a full review. I think Arsene Wenger won't retire and certainly won't quit. But I do think the club will look to move him on.
By the way, so everybody else is about 30 points behind City as well.
Well, I was going to say, it's just as well United owners didn't take that train of thought last year when United were outside the top 4 and scrambling to win the Europa League. Otherwise, Mourinho might have gone.
John, who gets it then?
Yeah, good point.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's a very interesting one, this. I do think that there's a short list, and, you know, I keep on being told that there'll basically be a trail of top managers knocking on the Arsenal door, basically, for this job, and I'm sure that's right. But I do think that there's probably people in their thoughts, and I think the Monaco manager, Leonardo Jardim, would be right at the top. I think for the football that he produces, for the way that he nurtures young players, I mean, he's obviously in the French league, which has to compete against the wealth and riches, and he does so, of PSG. He's got Champions League pedigree. I think Mikel Arteta, he's definitely on the radar. I mean, he's a part of Pep Guardiola's coaching staff. I don't know whether that is a job too soon, and it's too soon for him. The other one, I know sometimes sort of people don't like to hear this, but I actually think he'd be a good fit and a good manager would be Brendan Rodgers.
Yes.
Yes. At Celtic. I do think he's liked at Arsenal. He had a good sort of connection with Arsenal, and I still think he would have admiring glances. I think those three will be on the shortlist. I'm sure there'll be others sort of in the frame, because, as I say, there'll be a lot of top managers, I think, interested in that job. It's so stable, it's such a well-run club, but it's looking now for someone new to come in, a younger manager, to take up the head coach position and guide the club forward again.
Right.
John, are you, just one word, and one word answer. Are you more convinced than ever that Arsenal will start the new season with a new coach?
Yes.
Thank you.
beIN Sports' Carrie Brown is in London for us now. Carrie Brown, Arsene Wenger said last night after the game that nothing is permanent. Who could replace him at the Emirates?
Kate, first of all, I want to give you a bit of an insight into why so many people are talking about Arsene Wenger's potential replacement. beIN Sports are in a rare position of being in the tunnel post-match, and Arsene Wenger did take an incredibly long time to come out of the dressing room, a dressing room which also contains his office after that match. So much so, the host broadcaster had to extend their coverage because it had gone long beyond the allotted time for their match coverage. Now, he did come out and speak to us then, but could offer very few answers of how this team can come and get the results again, other than coming back together. And maybe he was collecting the spirits in that dressing room, because they were quite literally on the floor as they went in on that day. Now, going into that dressing room as well was one of the players linked to the job, Mikel Arteta, of course, Pep Guardiola's assistant. We believe that he is going to be a little too young for that position, but he'll certainly be one of the names linked to this job. A health warning for Arsenal fans. I expect there now by the day to be new names linked to the Arsene Wenger position. I still think that Jardam at Monaco is the most obvious fit. He has a great playing style that would suit the club. Most importantly, though, he's also been able to sign players on a tight budget and get strong performances out of them. Also, odds slash today on Joachim Löw, of course, the credentials there, a World Cup winner, also has a very close relationship with Mesut Ozil, and a number of the backroom staff now coming in and changing perhaps the future of Arsenal. But the big question there has to be, what about his club experience? He won the Austrian league, but that was all the way back. His club career ended in 2004. He's been with the national team since then, so then you would have to question how much support he would need behind the scenes in calculating strategies and running at club level, although of course his credentials of playing style cannot be in doubt, or his winning mentality. Another name, of course, when you look at that, is Carlo Ancelotti. Another name mentioned, Antonio Conte, but as you're going to hear at the moment, I don't think he'll have the budget to spend that he'll want.